before they sign.
As I said, our residents pay a lot of money to have their anonymity protected.
Then what's the fucking point of me being here?
The road chose you to come here. That means there's some greater purpose at work. A time of great transition and transformation may be upon you.
She turns back to watch the tableau of gods and goddesses, twisted into grotesque caricatures, sucked up inside themselves. Except for one, who stands on the far side of the room. There are two ravens, perched one on each shoulder, giving him a three-headed appearance from a distance. The man is tall and very thin, but possessed of a laser gaze that could pick you apart and steal your secrets one by one. What have I stumbled onto here? A black ops government research lab? Some sick, elaborate practical joke by a bunch of rich pricks? I mean, really, a retirement home for the gods? I gotta be losing my mind. Or hallucinating. She's slipping some LSD or magic mushrooms? Let me guess. Odin?
Yes, and his two companions, Hugin and Munin, thought in memory.
It's been years since my college explorations of Nordic mythology, but it comes to me. Odin sent the ravens out over the world each morning to report back to him by evening all that went on. This gave him absolute knowledge of events far and near anywhere on the planet. But it also racked him with worry. Daily I fear lest Hugin not return, but the loss of Munin I fear more. After all, what good is thought if you can't remember it anymore? Turning to the nurse, I ask, do White Star rules allow Hugin and Munin to fly here?
This isn't a prison, Mr. Breen. Of course they can fly. You've seen our open courtyard. Residents may spend as much time as they like there, even on the front grounds occasionally.
Yeah, I saw them when I came in.
I have work to do. I must attend to Mr. Yahweh there.
She points at another old god, hunched in the corner, glowering with the force of a black hole. His lower lip is in constant motion, as if rehearsing a speech. Parked by the billiards table, Yahweh coughs on his billionth cigarette.
Don't offer him a match unless you're up to hearing all about the glory days. Parting the Red Sea, incinerating Sodom and Gomorrah, making the sun stand still over Palestine, the usual stuff. And then there's the lusty affair with Israel. Not enough for him, a single entity, the goddess of the Milky Way. No, he wanted it all. Holy books, with himself as the author, of course. Clouds of incense, the smoke of sacrificed animals, the litany of sins confessed in prayer. Consume, 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 sucking it all up like the ultimate consumer, the Hoover Deluxe of the spirit realm.
She sighs sadly, but quickly composes herself. It's obvious she cares for this crusty old god, despite her misgivings.
It's nearly time for his therapy. Wait here and observe. You'll be locked until I return.
But this is not a prison.
Of course not. I must be going. Mr. Yahweh can be a very testy customer some days.
She leaves, and in a few minutes I can see her enter the sunroom through a seamless side door. I fumble for my Palm video cam. For my encounter with the nurse, I'll only have audio, but it's better than nothing. Now I can get the real goods thanks to this two-way mirror. God, I hope they don't have a data wiper here. This could be the exclusive of the century. The petite nurse approaches Yahweh, who is swathed in blue-gray cigarette smoke.
Time for your therapy, Yahweh.
He ignores her, but relishes the chance for an audience. He takes her by the wrist so she can't escape. She smiles benignly.
Mr. Yahweh, you know better than that. If I want to get away, all I have to do is dematerialize.
You think it's tough managing a goddess for a lover? Try a whole bloody world. Billions of minds all at once. All that consciousness hanging around like so many toy boats in a bathtub. Total chaos.
He spits blood and tobacco into a coffee can on the floor, barely missing the nurse's silky leg.
Humans. Ugh. Love them and hate them. I mean, at least ants are single-minded. They get the job done. Humans are too damned unpredictable.
From across the room, a paper airplane stamped with a pentagram is sent crinkling into Yahweh's permanently knotted brow.
Hey, who threw that?
He glares at the other wizened gods and goddesses, but most of them still have enough powers left to fold back time to the millisecond before the airplane was launched. Yahweh realizes he's annoyed, but can't quite remember why.
Nothing worse than senile gods. Now, where was I?
Something about ants.
Splendid creatures, ants. You put one idea in their tiny brains, and they never stop. Work till they drop. I told council we ought to think twice before modeling human consciousness on the Big Bang.
But what wonderful complexity. A mirror of the universe.
You missed the point, sweetie. Starting tiny minds from a huge cosmic explosion hardly seemed wise to me. Chaotic in the extreme. But there I was, outvoted again in the Council of Gods. I mean, if the whole idea is to create a subspecies strong enough to do the dirty work, but smart enough to make and use tools, why bother giving them any higher functions? All they did was give them illusions of godship.
Not a great trait for a slave, I grant you.
The nurse's tone softens Yahweh's platinum stare just enough to make it non-lethal.
Well, I don't know if I'd call them slaves exactly. And anyway, they were nothing but a bunch of grunting apes before we arrived on the planet. We gave them science, art, law, great cities built to last 1,000 years. And what thanks do we get? They start moaning about equal rights, shorter work weeks, whining about self-government, demanding the right to their own nation states. Ah.
In other words, what all of you had before you touched down on Earth.
What do you mean, all of you?
You know what I mean. Answer the question, please.
No. Well, yes, I suppose. Could we help it if the whole damn bunch went rotten on us?
Yes, but you made them, did you not? In your image and likeness, wasn't it?
Her tiny diaphanous wings rustle, sweetening air fouled by cigarette smoke. Yahweh's grudging silence is answer enough.
If you give them freedom of choice, you can't complain when the choices they make don't suit you. Now, can you, Mr. Yahweh?
You're just like them. Bloody ethics police. Humans. Ah. They make idiotic choices, they fuck up, and then they blame the gods. Then when the chips are down, they pray to us for help. It's enough to drive any god mad.
But your people, the Anunnaki, they lacked a certain vital quality, didn't they?
Yahweh sucks deeply on his cigarette, stalling for time.
I don't know what you mean.
The ability to love, truly love. That's what stymied you, isn't it? The Anunnaki gods lacked that special ability. You might have had giant interstellar ships and anti-gravity craft and labs full of the most brilliant genetic scientists, but you barely knew what it was to love.
A minor detail.
Then why did you abandon the human race?
We decided our interventions weren't helping. For every decision, there seemed to be a deadly kickback, something we did not foresee. We tried to help. At least my brother Inky the Wise tried, but it seemed we only made things worse in the end.
In other words, you blew it.
Blew it? Blew it? The bloody pink apes! Enough to drive anyone mad.
Yahweh's glare forms a unified laser beam, burning a smoking hole through the wall across the room.
Now, Mr. Yahweh, let's not have any more of that. Not allowed here. And anyway, I've been more than patient. Time for therapy, now.
I don't need your help. I'm not so feeble I can't walk through a measly black hole to get where I'm going. After all, I did create an entire planet in just 7 days.
Made the planet habitable in 7 days. And anyway, we only have your word for it,
But
after all.
I'm God!
Mr. Yahweh, look around you. Do you really think you're the only God here?
Yahweh snorts himself into a sulky silence. The one thing he still can't do is lie, at least not outright. He tries to wave her off, but he knows he dare not risk expulsion from the home. He has nowhere in the universe left to go. What to do when you've lived so many thousands of years, your contradictions catch up with you. She edges a wheelchair toward him. Eyes of ruby and emerald are embedded in its wheels. Ancient Hebrew runes dance and move constantly on the chrome. Yahweh glares and the holy words freeze in terror. Gently, she wheels him into the therapy room. The door that slams behind his back has a sign above it that reads, Metaphysical Rehabilitation.